So these are what truck bays normally look like over here in the Aqualand warehouse. But this winter, we are converting 3 truck bays into the Aquascape Sandbox Studio, and we are inviting Aquascape artists of the year from all over the world to come into Chicago and ply their skills doing their professions, which is professional water features. We're gonna show every single time that our Aquascape Artist of the Year comes in, we're gonna show all the construction on the Team Aquascape channel, and then the reveal, the beautiful shots, is gonna be on my channel, Greg Wittstock the Pond Guy, which is all about living the Aquascape lifestyles. And so I wanna inspire you guys with some of the very best artists in the world that are working right behind over there. So let's check out and see what we've got this week. Ta-da, look at this. This is amazing. Alan Decker and Jason, think about this. You guys got here, the two of you pulled in on Sunday, today's Friday, and look at what we've created. Isn't that amazing? It is incredible. Good work, my man. Good work, my man. This is absolutely amazing. Can you give us a tour of this, Alan?
Absolutely, come on, let's
go do it. We've got to start with kind of the signature of this project, which I would talk about, which is this recessed patio.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that I've always wanted to do, and this was a great environment because we had the elevation that we could actually dig down deep enough, and I've always wanted to have that kind of amphitheater kind of feel.
Yep.
So you could sit by a fire pit, you could sit down on a boulder or something, and you got waterfalls all the way around you.
And it always makes a space feel bigger. So, you know, it's a flat surface that everyone's working with, but when you dig down and create that elevation where you got to go up and you got to go down, not only does it kind of take your eye that you're going to want to walk across it, but when you're sitting in there, it's a different feel when you're recessed.
It does. It creates a whole different environment. And you know, people a lot of times don't have the imagination for that. So you're looking, like you said, at a flat backyard and you're like, what do I do with this? Because it's boring. And the fact that you can actually go down and create elevation rather than maybe somebody's got a rolling backyard.
Yep.
You can still have that same effect. It's just that you got to kind of think out of the box a little bit.
Now this is kind of funny because you kind of worked with Ed on this one rock over here. You know, you kind of added it at the last minute because you said, hey, there's some more room here. And this is kind of what artists do. You know, when you're seeing something, you see a certain rock that's talking to you. Talk a little bit about this stone and how you designed this weeping area.
Well, the funny thing is I saw that stone from the first day. It was sitting on a pallet and it was all over there, and I was like, whatever you do, don't hurt that rock, because I've always also wanted to do some type of a weeping wall, and we're like, all right, let's just hog out this whole area and create that. Of course, it's always fun working with that. And we both kind of think alike when we're building, so it was fun that we were able to create that together, and we didn't want it to be a gusher. It's actually so much easier to build a water feature when you have a lot of water going over it.
Right, so when you actually make it lower, you got to make sure that every rock, nook and cranny is filled with water.
Exactly.
Talk a little bit about your whole concept with the hot tub and the Coors patio pond spilling into it.
Yeah, so I mean, basically it was meant to be just like a little hot tub for like 2 people. So we just recessed that down to the ground. We put a fogger in there and just tried to make it look like boiling water. We put an aerator in the bottom, and it made for a fun little area over in this little nook and cranny that really, what else would you have done with it but a plant?
And in somebody's backyard, you could have made it a hot tub. Here we didn't, but what was funny was the kids with their bathing suits, they flocked right there, and you saw the kids, as soon as that thing was going, they wanted to play with the fog. They liked the little cute little waterfalls coming out of the spillway.
Part of the design that I really like is I like to create areas that there's a mystery, like what's around that next corner. So when you walked into that backyard, you couldn't see everything. You couldn't even see that hot tub. But we all know how kids are, and we're all big kids ourselves, so you're bouncing across the boulders, you're going down, you're coming back up, and all of a sudden you see a little bit of movement in the corner, and it draws you right to it. And of course the kids are going to want to get in that water. The other thing is, like I said, I wanted that amphitheater look, so we wanted to have an upper pond, so when you're sitting in the shed or you're in the hot tub, you could kind of see the fish swimming alongside the patio. So we created that whole area. That particular water was about 1.5 inches from the grade of the patio. So that gives a really crisp look as you're walking up along to the shed. They had that cool little bar area with bar stools, so you could sit there and look right down at the fish. And what's more soothing than the fish? Then when you kind of start transpiring down around the slab steps to get in the recessed area by the fire pit and that, you have waterfalls falling to your left and to your right. And it just creates a really good feel.
That was actually the first time that you've installed the new Aquascape fire elements.
Yes. So, I mean, one of the cool things about the Mongolian spires is that it is meant to have water in it, but I just wanted the fire element because it gives you that whole natural feel. So we got fire coming out of rock. And what better goes with water than fire? And then that new fire pit, we were able to recess that right down in, and it just gave a whole different feel.
It really drove you out there to the outdoor shed.
Yeah.
So if you were someone that was actually your house, it would kind of be like a pathway lighting to get you out there. You'd want to follow along and do that. So, you know, I had never even thought of using that element that way, but this is exactly why we have the Artist of the Year in, because it's showing new techniques to somebody. You know, you can put as many of those in the backyard because people are going to walk from one to the other. So it kind of draws you out and creates a destination place.
Yeah, and it's pretty cool because we all put lights and we put color changing lights or clear lights or whatever into our features, but I mean, everybody loves fire, right? And if you're gonna have a fire pit already, why not just add a few more of those elements? And what's cool is after we're done building it, even though we are the people that build it, where do you think we hung out that night?
We were sitting by the fire.
Yep, we sat right by that fire pit, and there was probably about 6 of us, and we just sat there talking for hours. So even though you're trying to draw people there, you can't help but draw yourself to that fire.
Talk a little bit about the color changing lights and how you put them in, because we ended up going with 3 different transformers. So talk a little bit about your design and how many lights you actually use and things like that.
I would say we used probably about 25 to 30 lights. We did put them on 3 different transformers because some areas we had color changing, and then we had another element we just wanted clear, and we wanted to kind of break it up. And then that way people can kind of see like how the different light flows. And it does totally change it when you have that color changing light.
I tell you, it's the most enjoyable at night because it just creates such a warm feeling. So with the fire and the color changing lights and everything else, it's magical. It's almost like Avatar out there at night with all the color changing lights on and the fire elements, and it literally was otherworldly with the plants and the lights and the fire.
I think one of the biggest mistakes people make is they always want to say, oh, I want to save a few dollars and take the lights out. But you know, they don't realize that it becomes a whole different element at night because everything totally changes. The day to night, you gotta have the lights.
It expands the enjoyable hours, and most people are working during the day, and so they can actually enjoy it at nighttime out there.
Right.
Let's talk about the pricing a little bit. I mean, and the materials. Like, what was involved with putting this together in terms of, if you were to look at this from a man-hour perspective, from a material usage in terms of the poundage of stone, you know, if this was a normal backyard Decker's Pondscapes.
If this was normal, you know, for us, I'm thinking you're probably around 400 man-hours, realistically. If we were to do the whole booth collectively, taking away the shed, I'm thinking you're probably gonna be around the 150, 160 range.
Not bad.
Right, so you got all those different elements in there. The one thing we didn't have is any sod. So you're taking away that particular part of the maintenance, but we had plantings and stuff in there which are much easier to take care of and to enjoy, so that helps with the cost a little bit. But the nice part about the way we built this is you could dissect it into pieces. Maybe your yard's not that big,
or maybe people want to go in phases.
Right, and you could definitely work in phases, and that's the cool thing about water features is, you know, we could seam onto a liner, or, you know, maybe that little nook over there in the corner you add on to a later date, but it's always evolving. The other cool part about it is when you have water right up next to a patio in the shed and stuff, you know, you can kind of just picture yourself, like the parents are in there, they're all, you know, you got some friends over, and they're kind of in the shed, they're talking, and the kids are sitting on the edge of the patio with their feet in there, the fish are swimming up. You know, maybe your dog loves water or to watch the fish, so it's a very interactive piece, so that's kind of the cool part about it. And when you have big boulder waterfalls, you know, the kids can bounce off of them, and, you know, you can sit on them and interact with it. And I think that's the biggest thing, is you need to interact with all that type of elements.
So from your original concept that you had in your mind to what actually was able to be achieved by, you know, the Decker's Pondscape team working alongside the Aquascape guys, how close to the reality did we hit, and were you able to exceed it?
Yeah, I mean, we definitely exceeded what, and we always do, because it always morphs. And, you know, one of the things was I was picturing a little bit more of a sitting area for the fire pit area, but, like, you know, as you go, and the rocks dictate it, right? So as we're looking at rocks and the type of waterfall we wanted to build, you know, maybe the fire pit area got a little bit smaller, but it's a little bit more quaint because we have so many different areas for you to sit on. Instead of, originally I was thinking, maybe I'll do a little bit more traditional seating with some retaining wall block and then blend in the boulders. And of course, you know, that's just not me. I like that natural element. So we ended up putting in this, the rock was like 7,000 pounds, we figured.
Yeah.
It was brutal to get in there, but we got that big rock in there, and it just set the stage for that whole fire pit area.
How was this week for you and Jason?
What was awesome is, you know, Jason's been with us for over 10 years, and he absolutely loves coming out here. He's been to Pandemonium multiple times, so he's always all in. But I was able to bring our 14-year-old son Nick, and my wife Jody came out, and it was just a great family experience. And I love the fact that, I mean, we know Chris and Ed and Brian very well over the years, and of course you, so it's just a blast for us to come out and work with you guys. It's always been one of those things that I enjoy, and you know what, it's cold at home, We got nothing going on.
Amen. Well, speaking of nothing going on, it's 2021. What's Decker's Pondscape's vlogging posting schedule going to be in 2021, Alan?
2021, I'm going to do weekly. I know I can only muster up one a week, so that's what I'm going to be doing. And then, of course, we'll keep up with Instagram and Facebook as we always have.
Well, great work, my man. It was fun working with your team, and looking forward to following you guys along with your vlog all year long to see more custom creations in people's backyards.
Thank you for having us.
Awesome.